Hey Overlord, it's me, Dreg. In this transmission, instead of building something, I decided I was going to do something a little different. Okay, I'll come clean. I was incredibly lazy for 2 weeks. In the past, I have dabbled with drawing, with art a little bit. I'm not very good at it. I just figured, hey, why not do something like that on this channel? Why do I always have to yawn when I start recording? Before I start sketching out my projects, I will divide my page into 6 roughly similar sized boxes. The first species I'm going to draw is called a, or translated into English, a stalkeye. It's really hard translating things into English when your native tongue incorporates the use of sphericals to communicate and verbalize thoughts. A stalkeye is essentially that. It's just an eye on the end of a stalk. The stalk was growing out of the soil. I don't know what was beneath the soil. Whenever we ran across them, we literally just like mowed them down. They were in our way. So yeah, there's not much to it, and I don't know much about their physiology. The next species I'm going to draw is the, or loosely translated into English, the creepy McAwkward. I'm assuming this species had some sort of society, rules, regulations. They had houses, they had, doors, they had utensils, they had stuff like that. But whenever we landed, they just stood there and stared at us, and they made no attempt to respond to us. I don't know if it was a defense mechanism, just freezing. Maybe they thought we couldn't see them, but they didn't respond. We could shoot them, push them over, nothing. It was just nothing. They would just stand there and just stare at us so awkwardly. When drawing the face on this creature, I decided to add too much detail. I later went back and erased it and made it more simple. After we colonized the planet, I used a couple of these as personal attendants. They didn't do anything. They just stood there and stared. It was very, very off-putting. I had other personal attendants position them, move them around, and when it was time for them to eat, actually push them into a room where the food was and forcibly feed them. They didn't do anything. They just stood there with their eyes gaping at you, just awkwardly staring at you. It was kind of awful. This one time, as a prank, I had a few of these positioned outside some of my underlings' windows, just staring in their house at them. Can you imagine their face when they pulled open the shades and there's this guy just staring, just blank faced, staring in at them? Can you imagine the sheer look of terror on their face? It must have just been priceless. I wish I could have got it on film. Look, I unlocked to draw something and then realized it's trash and quickly erase it before anyone knows this challenge. In this challenge, I have to draw just complete garbage and then realize it's complete garbage and then quickly erase it. This next species, the or the eye shroom, was very, very interesting. The eye shroom is some sort of fungus that grows stalks that have eyes on the end of them. I found the spores of these guys and I made them spawn and reproduce and grow in very specific areas, and they would watch those areas for me. They had 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6, 7 eyes, and they could literally, there's no getting past them. They have so many eyes. In hindsight, I'm not really sure how they would have alerted me if they actually saw something. They're just fungus. I assume that because they have so many eyes, and if you're wanting to do something illegal, you wouldn't do it with something with that many eyes watching you. So it was more of a mental deterrent than an actual surveillance. This next species is something that I playfully call the, or in English, gnatnoying. When we landed on the planet, they didn't run shrieking, terrified from us. They would run up to us, almost happy to have somebody to talk to. The more we tried to push them away and yell at them, the more they seemed to like and enjoy our company, and they would start to tell us all about their lives, about their drama, about the stuff that's going on with them, as if we cared. In the end, their annoyance was just too much to handle, and we ended up abandoning this planet. But not before I took some of them and I kept them in my personal retinue. I used them to chase off sycophants and people I didn't like. The next species is something that I call the or the slither shriek. I actually like these guys. They were slimy, slow moving. They like the darkness. They like moist environments. They like the clammy, moldy areas. And they communicated in a series of unintelligible, blood curdling screams. It didn't take me long before I realized the perfect job that I would have them do. I put them in my dungeons. They ate the mold and the slime that grew in there. They loved the moist clamminess of it. And the most important job that they did is when they communicated. They screamed these blood curdling screams and made it sound like that I had people in there that I was just torturing 24 hours a day. I didn't. It was very fun when I had friends or neighbors come over. They would hear these screams coming up from my basement, and they're like, what is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's just my prisoners." This next creature is one that I have come across on this planet. It is my sister-in-law. This creature has a very bad habit of ruining Thanksgiving meals by burning pre-cooked turkeys, hams, and anything else in general, just burning it to an awful, awful crisp. If you're watching me draw this and thinking, man, this guy is taking some artistic liberty, the sister in law can't truly be that awful, you're wrong. She looks exactly like this. I'm thinking that maybe she is some sort of genetic aberration, some sort of evolutionary offshoot. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but this is what she really looks like. After I finish penciling them out, I begin inking them. The art supplies that I am using are not really art supplies. The pencils are just normal, everyday pencil. The pen I am using is just a gel pen that has a really fine tip. Later on in this project, I had a little bit of issue with the pen. I will talk about that later. If you know of a good pen, a brand name that you're able to draw with, that the ink does not bleed when you're painting over it, please let me know in the comments below. I am just a beginner at this, and really, it's obvious I don't know anything. This next step in this project is painting. I went to the local art supply store and I picked up this little tray of watercolor. It came with this little brush that had a reservoir for water in it, and I just decided, hey, I'm going to try watercoloring my creations. I quickly realized that watercolor has a little bit of a learning curve. The pen was not made for this, and as I was painting it, the ink was starting to run. So I'm going to experiment a little bit more, see if maybe I should just do this without inking it, do a little bit of work. And when I do, I will document it, and you'll be able to see my failures no matter what. I have worked with other paints in the past, acrylics. With acrylics, it is very easy to get consistent color. With watercolor, the water will fade as you continue using it, and it is very hard to get a consistent color across the whole thing. So I just kind of ran with it, and so all of my painting on this is just blotchy, different shades of color all over the place. It makes it look more, I guess, organic, because nothing is really consistently colored in the wild. If you watch my painting technique, it starts out pretty awful, and then as I finish up painting, I do get a little bit better. So I do learn as I go along. So hopefully in the course of time, I will make and paint some more stuff, and I should be an expert, in 6, 7, 10 years from now. If you have made it this far in the video, you should know, if just by watching, that I am not an expert. This video is not meant as a tutorial. Do not follow what I am doing. I am just experimenting and learning as I go. Now is the perfect time to ask you to like, subscribe, and share. You have made it this far in the video, so it's very obvious that you enjoy watching train wrecks and people do things that they are not experts at doing. So please help support the channel. Subscribe. On this creature, I realized that you can take the black and line the inking that I did to make it have a little bit more definition. In the future, I might not ink it at all and just outline all the lines with black watercolor. I might like that more. It didn't take me long to realize that the first places that you paint have the most vibrant color, and then as you continue to paint, the color gets less and less. So I put the most color where I liked it, and then just kept painting as the pigment got less and less. It makes it look like it fades or has two-tone. I really liked it. After I finished painting my creatures, I had some extra paints that I had mixed on my palette, and I just, with a wet brush, mixed them all together and painted up, mixing, just trying, experimenting a little bit, the backgrounds. If you like this style of video, please leave a comment below and let me know about it. If you don't like this style of content, don't leave a comment below because I really enjoy it and I'm going to do this regardless of what you want. So with the background finished, my artwork is complete. I can tell you like watching things that are awful, but you can't look away. Please like, subscribe, and share. Overlord, in the last transmission, I said that I do not want to come back. I have changed my mind. My wife and I recently got into an argument, and she has me sleeping on the couch. Please end my solitude.